What's going on, everyone? Today we're going to get up and running with JSDoc. We're going to be creating some documentation within our Visual Studio Code. So we'll have our documentation that looks like this, and then by running a simple command it will automatically spit out a docs folder for us, and then we can click on our information here and it will just give us all the details on our functions and our classes. To get started, it's really straightforward. I've gone ahead and opened up a blank workspace and I've got an index.js file in there. So there's nothing in here, and I've also got an integrated terminal. So I've just used Control and backtick to open that up. And I've also pulled up the npm package behind me here. So npm install JSDoc. Now, obviously, by running npm install JSDoc, that's going to install this as a dependency. Our application or our website, whatever it is that we're building, is dependent on JSDoc. That's obviously not the case because this is just some documentation. So if you scroll down a little bit, you can see to install the latest version locally and save it in your packages, package.json file, you want to run npm install --save -dev JSDoc. That basically says save this as a dev dependency. So when we compile your application, we're not going to worry too much about JSDoc. So to do that, what we can do is run npm i-uppercase-d and then JSDoc. This will install it locally in our application. However, when I was doing this and I was running it locally, for some reason or another, it just wasn't working for me. So if I was running the command right now, and if I scroll down a little bit, you can see here JSDoc and then the name of your JavaScript file. That is all you need. It just wasn't working for one reason or another. So I had to install it globally, and I'm more than happy to install it globally. So npm -i-g and then whatever it is that you're installing globally. So in our case, JSDoc, and that was enough. Now it works and everything's fine. So if you do run into any issues, feel free to install it globally, and you should be fine. You may need to restart your window, but Control-Shift-P and then just type reload, and then you'll be able to reload your window. Okay, so moving on. I'm going to open up my index.js file, and then I'm going to create a function in here, and I'm going to call this function foo. This is going to take one parameter, which is bar, and then I'm just going to return bar. Save that. Now, obviously, this is doing nothing for us, so I want to come up here and I want to start writing some documentation. So I'm going to use a backslash, then knockdown. Now, as you can see, it's created this template for me straight away. It's picked up the name, picked up a parameter and everything, and then it's actually selected where I can start typing. And the reason it's done this is because I've got an extension installed within Visual Studio Code. So if you go to extensions, search JSDoc, search, and then it's the second one down. So the first one has got 14,000 installs. It's from IIQW, and the second one is from Stephen CL. It's got 140,000 installations, and this is perfect. This works exactly for how I expect it to work. So I'd recommend going ahead and just installing this one, which is add JSDoc comments. So just to show you again, backslash * knockdown, and you can see that it's saying create a JS comment. So if I hit enter, it goes ahead and creates it for me straight away. So to get started with JSDoc, all you want to do is you want to type in @param, and that is what is the name of the parameters that you're taking in. As you can see, it's given us the name here, and then within the curly brackets here, we just want to specify the type. What is it that we're going to be receiving? So if I type string here, and then what we want to do is, there's two ways you can do this. We can put a hyphen and put some comments in here, or we can take the hyphen out. I like to just separate the two and just put a hyphen in here and just put a string call of bar and save that. Now JSDoc usually expects a description, so return a string of bar. Just sort out that. And then also down below, we are actually returning something, so it expects us to write whatever it is that we're returning. So and then if we type in returns, hit enter, and then what is it that we're returning? We're just going to be returning a string, and then the string bar. Save that. And now what we can do is we can go ahead, come back to our window, and if I type in foo, and open our parentheses, what we'll see is it's actually picked up the fact that we're going to be taking in bar, which is a string. So a string of bar, and then it's going to return a string of bar. So if I put in bar here, save, everything's fine. Now we obviously want to spit this out into some form of documentation, and we'll get to a configuration file in a minute, but JSDoc has a lot of defaults as well. So if I run JSDoc and then just pass in the file that I want it to run JSDoc on, so in this case index.js, I'm going to save this and I'm going to run that. What it'll do is it'll create, it'll use all of the defaults and it'll just spit out a documentations folder in an out folder. So we can change the name of this in a moment. Let's not worry about that for the time being. But I'm just going to drop down here and I'm going to right click and open this with Live Server. And the reason I can do this again is because I've got another extension which is called Live Server, and it just allows me to open files just straight from my window here. So right click, open with Live Server. And what we'll see is that's gone ahead and created a documentation page for us. And because we were in the global section, let's just zoom in a little bit. Because we're in the global, as in this isn't, it doesn't have a parent or a class or anything. It's foo. It's detected our function and it's foo. We can click on it and then we can go over here and we can read. Okay, it's going to take in bar, which is a string, which is what we wrote. Return a string of bar again, which is what we wrote here. Return a string of bar. And then we can actually see the returns, the string bar. So this is really powerful for us. So not only have we created a documentation folder and on the fly, and it all links together, it's telling us exactly where it is and what it's doing, but we've also extended the power within Visual Studio Code because it's picking up on the fact that this function needs to receive a string. It's not going to receive a boolean or an array or whatever, and so it makes it really obvious to the future developers or our future selves working on this particular project. So this is a really arbitrary demonstration. Let's actually extend this a little bit further. So I'm going to minimize this and knock down a few lines. I'm going to say let's create a function and let's return a single book, because we're going to be making a bookstore of some sort. Then in here, I'm going to, let's have a title, a release year, say, and let's say on sale, something like that. Now in here, I want to return a function. I want to return an object, and I'm just going to return back what we get here. So I'm going to say return title and title. We could do ES6 if they both match, but that's not for this. That's out the scope of this. So release year, and then on sale. Save that. Now obviously we want to come up here and we want to write our documentation, so I'm going to open up my JS comment. I'm going to hit enter, and as you can see, it's picked up all of our parameters. So param 1, 2, and 3, and we've got title, release year, and so on. So the title is going to be a string. It's going to be the title of our book. Then release year is going to be a number, and this is going to be the year we released our book. On sale is on sale. It's going to be a boolean. We're going to say true or false. Is it on sale? Whether it's on sale. There we go. And then we're obviously returning something. So let's go down here and at returns. This is going to return an object because we're obviously returning an object at this point. And then let's just say book details. Book details, we could give it a description. So come up here and say information about our book. Save this. Now what's really powerful here is because we've gone ahead and declared whether title is going to be a string and release is going to be a number and so on. Visual Studio Code is going to pick up on the fact that, and now if I hit down a couple of lines and I want to say title, and I'm going to put a dot, and it's picked up on all of the things that we can do with this string. So what I could do is, let's say, like to lowercase, and I can hit that and call a function, call to lowercase. Save. Let me just start that again. Title.to lowercase. There. because it's picked up on the fact that this is a string and that we can manipulate it. Now I'm going to save that, but just comment this bit out. And again, I'm going to go ahead and run our JSDoc on our index.js. I'm going to come back over to our file, go to the beginning, and as you can see, we've got foo and we've got single book now. So it's picked up on the fact that we've got another function in here under the global state, obviously, because we've not put this into a class. So I can click on single book, and it's taken in all of the parameters. So single book is going to take a title, a release year, and on sale, and it's going to return an object. So information about our book, everything that we wrote, and then where it is in the actual source code itself. Next, what I'm going to do is just create a class quickly. So I'm going to knock down a few lines. Actually, let's just minimize this. Knock down a few lines. I'm going to say class book is going to take a constructor. Oh, not construction, constructor, and it's going to take in some property or some parameters. Sorry, and then you know what? Let's just steal the docs from up here. So params. Go. Going to say this dot title is equal to title. This dot release year is equal to release year, and this dot on sale is equal to on sale. Fantastic. Save that, and then I'm going to create a quick function which is just going to refer to this class. So function return book. It's going to take in a book, let's say, and then let's just have an item. Actually, let item is equal to a new book. Now it's picked up on the fact that we've got a class of book, and in here it's picked up our parameter, which is a title, release year, and you know the types of parameters that they are. So we can see up here. So if we hit here and go title of book, then 2020, and whether it's on sale, let's just say true. Fantastic. I'm going to save this. I'm also going to hit down, and if I use the dot notation, we can pick up on the fact that it's got properties within this as well. So really powerful to us. Now I'm just going to create some docs here and just say book is equal to a book. It's a single book class. It's not going to return anything, and let's just say a book. I don't know. Let's just keep the documentation quite simple. Now what I can do is I can run JSDoc again. Come back over here, go to our index, and what we can see now is that we've got classes and we've got book, and we've still got our global functions here. So we've got return a book, and because we've referenced the type of book, what it's done is it's used a smart link and it's linked to that class. So we'll have a look at that in a second, but we can see that we've got return book, which is taking in a book that we had, and then a single book class. Now if I click on this, it'll take us to the class book, the class of book, and then in here again, you know, it's taking in all of our parameters and any of our documentation that we want. I suppose finally, the only thing that I want to show you as part of the getting started is obviously we've got no configuration here, and we're just kind of taking in everything that JSDoc's spitting out by default, and that might be fine, that might be enough for you, but I just want to show you how you can kind of change and configure the beginning of it anyway. So if I type in JSDoc here, and let's just go to I'll put the link to this, and it's basically jsdoc.app. And I'm going to say configuring JSDoc with a configuration file. So it's the fourth link down. And I'm going to come down, and I'm basically just going to take this whole configuration file. So copy this, and this is the default configuration. I'm going to come back over to our workspace, and I'm going to delete our out folder, and I'm going to create a new file, and you can call this anything. I'm going to call this jsdoc.json. You could call it like jsdoc -config.json, whatever you name it. And then in here, I'm going to paste in our configurations. So let's just minimize this a little bit. What we've got here is plugins. This is where you could use things like Markdown, recursive depth. So how many folders do you want to subsequently go into? Our include pattern here, this is just using some regex. So we're saying basically anything to any number of characters, but this is the bit that we're looking for here. It's looking for .js extension, and then we could have a .js doc or JSDoc X, or sorry, JSX, and this question mark is basically saying this can or cannot not exist. We can actually change this all and just get rid of this and just use JS. So only look for JS files. So obviously we're only working with a JS file here, and that's enough, and I'm quite happy with that. And then obviously our exclude pattern, we've got a node modules folder here, and if you're familiar with node modules, you'll know that this node modules folder can get really extensive. So what you can do is just put, as part of your exclude path, just to say ignore everything that's going on in here. So I'm going to open and close out parentheses. I'm going to say node_modules and just ignore anything with node modules. Obviously, if I had more folders, I could just do a pipe and then say, another underscore folder. But we've got just node modules, so I just want to exclude node modules in this case. Then what we've got is basically I think the rest is relatively fairly self-explanatory. We don't need tags, we can leave that alone. Templates, clever links, so this is what we was talking about a second ago, where it's linked to the actual classes and whatnot, so I'm going to say true. And then finally, we've got no kind of configuration here for the output. So by default, if I just run JSDoc now and ran index, it's just going to run it and create it into that out folder. So I'm just going to look for our output. And we're looking for this ops folder, ops configuration here. So this ops, I can just take this as is. Copy it down here. Let's just remove the comments. So rid of these. Fantastic. And then template we don't need. The encoding we can keep it as UTF-8 as long as you're happy with that. The destination folder, we'll change this in a second. Recurse, do you want to recurse through your files? Yes. And I'm going to just get rid of the tutorials. So this output folder here is where do you want your files to be spat out into, and obviously out might not be relevant to you, so I'm just going to change mine to docs. Save that, and now if we run JSDoc, it's still not going to work because it's going to it doesn't know about this configuration, because we can call this configuration pretty much anything. Oh, hang on, I've got an issue here. Let's get rid of that. Indent you. Save. Okay. Because we can call this configuration anything, we basically need to tell it where to look for this configuration file. So you want to run JSDoc-C for configuration file. What's the name of your configuration file? So JSDoc.json, and then what is the file or the folder that you want to obviously run this on. So in our case, it's just the index.js. However, it may be a folder for yourselves. So I'm just going to go ahead and run that. And as you can see, we've got a docs folder now, which is spat everything out into, and I can just go ahead and open up the index with our live server, and you can see that on our server we've got docs, index.html, and we've got all of our documentation just configured and set up. Now obviously this is a bit of an issue to keep on writing all the time. You may be able to just hit up, but if you're writing a lot of commands, it may be a bit of a pain. So what we can do is we can actually take this line here, come down to our package.json file, which we do not have. So I'm just going to actually npm init. Let's just say -y. And then we've got a package.json file now. And then as part of our scripts, what I can do is just say start or docs or whatever, let's call it docs. And then in here, I'm going to paste in that file. And every time that we run npm run docs, it's going to run this file. So save this. npm run docs. Let's just go ahead and delete that before we run it, just to make sure that it runs. Delete npm run docs, and it's gone ahead and created our documentation folder. So now what we can do is reload this page, and it's there. So look, I hope that makes sense. I know we've kind of blasted through this pretty quick. I just wanted to give you a really quick intro as to how to get set up, configured, and just working with JSDoc as quickly as possible. If you do have any questions, please feel free, as always, to leave a comment down below, and I'll try and get back to everyone as quickly as possible. Until next time, take it easy.